Gun violence affects half of all U.S. families surveyed. UN marks anniversary with new exhibit on genocide prevention. UN chief calls for massive support for Somalia. Iranians gather at Palestine Square to break fast, support Palestinians. 500-year-old handwritten Holy Quran to be fully restored. From our Chicago studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Samana Siddiqui. Our top story tonight. About half of American families have been affected by a gun-related incident, while 1 in 5 say they have been personally threatened with a gun. That's according to a recent survey by the Kaiser Family Foundation. About 54% of U.S. adults say they or a family member have experienced a gun-related incident. 21% were personally threatened with a gun, while 19% said a family member was killed by one, which includes death by suicide. A large majority, about 84% of adults, say they have taken at least one precaution against possible gun violence affecting their families. 4 in 10 adults are living in a household with a gun. The survey was conducted after the deadly March 27 school shooting in Nashville, Tennessee, which killed 3 students and 3 adults. Over 11,500 people in the U.S. have died from gun violence as of April 11th, the nonprofit research group Gun Violence Archive said on Tuesday. A Georgia middle school teacher is under investigation over allegations they failed to act during a violent, racially motivated attack in their classroom. WSB-TV reports that 2 students at Radloff Middle School in Duluth are facing disciplinary action. This was after they whipped an African-American student and called her the N-word. The incident occurred just before the school's spring break. The victim's father told WSB-TV his daughter had to sit through the rest of the class because the teacher failed to report the incident. Wisconsin Life, the Wisconsin Muslim Project, is an all-new PBS special. It will premiere next Thursday, April 20th on PBS Wisconsin. Host Angela Fitzgerald will share the stories of Muslims across the state. That includes a visit to the Fox Valley Islamic Society in Neenah, stories of a mosque director helping curb hunger in Milwaukee, and Barron's first Somali-born city council member. The show is part of the larger Wisconsin Muslim Project. That is a collaboration between PBS Wisconsin and 2 other Wisconsin-based partners, including the Milwaukee Muslim Women's Coalition. NPR is leaving Twitter 1 week after the social media platform labeled the radio station's main account as government-funded media. The media outlet gets 1% of its funding from the U.S. government. NPR will no longer post new content to its 52 official Twitter feeds. In a statement, the network said NPR's organizational accounts will no longer be active on Twitter because the platform is taking actions that undermine our credibility by falsely implying that we are not editorially independent. The state-affiliated media label is usually applied to outlets that are under the control or significantly influenced by authoritarian governments. But Twitter later revised the label to government-funded media and bestowed the same designation on the BBC. Imam Safed Katovic is asking the UN to address the rising threat of genocide against Indian Muslims, as well as the Chinese government's genocide of Uyghur Muslims. Katovic is the director of United Nations operations at Justice for All, an American Muslim human rights organization with a seat at the UN. The imam made the statement while attending the inauguration of a new UN exhibit entitled Stories of Survival and Remembrance, a call to action for genocide prevention. It is a joint initiative of the UN with the Illinois Holocaust Museum and Education Center. It includes contributions from the Documentation Center Cambodia, the War Childhood Museum Bosnia and Herzegovina, and the UK-based group Remembering Srebrenica. The exhibition opened as part of UN commemorations of the 75th anniversary of the Human Rights Declaration and Genocide Conventions. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has ordered all ministers to avoid meeting U.S. government officials. That is until President Joe Biden invites him to the White House first. As long as I don't visit there, nobody does, he said, according to a report by Israel's Channel 12 News. It also says Netanyahu is angry that he has not yet received an invitation. UN chief calls for massive support for Somalia. Details after the break, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Assalamu alaikum and Ramadan Mubarak. I'm here to ask you to support something which we are watching right now, Muslim Network Television. Just like PBS, NPR, or even your masjid, we depend on your donations. We broadcast Muslims, we put Muslims on air, we bring good news, we counter negative media with positive media. And here is an example. When the terrible earthquakes hit Turkey and Syria, Muslim Americans donated $100 million within 5 days. That was more than what US government gave in the same time. Getting our news out is what Muslim Network does. This Ramadan, stand for your community. Donate to Muslim Network. Do it now. Visit muslimnetwork.tv. Thank you so much, and assalamu alaikum.
Welcome back. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres is seeking massive international support for Somalia, which is facing its worst drought in decades. Guterres recently visited the country. He said, "Every year during the Ramadan, I have the honor of visiting a Muslim country, and today I am happy to continue this tradition here in Somalia and to fast with you in solidarity." Over 6.5 million people in Somalia are projected to face crisis level or worse food insecurity between April and June. An estimated 43,000 people died due to the drought in 2022 alone, half of them children under 5 years old, according to the UN. Since the start of the current drought, there have been over 1.5 million displacements. Palestine Square, or Maidan Palestine, is a busy roundabout in central Tehran, Iran's capital. Named after Palestine, it's a popular venue for Palestine-related events and is located a few blocks away from the Palestinian embassy in Iran. In the wake of recent Israeli military raids on the Al-Aqsa Mosque complex in occupied East Jerusalem, Iranians have decked up the square. They also regularly visit in Ramadan to break their fast there. This is to extend their support to the Palestinian people. In Indonesia, Ramadan is always looked forward to with anticipation, as over 86% of the country, of about 231 million, is Muslim. This is not just to strengthen individual faith in the world's largest Muslim country, it is also to get closer to family through traditions like visiting the cemetery throughout the month of fasting. Ramadan is a collective affair in Indonesia, with families eating together for pre-dawn and fast-breaking meals, as well as offering prayers together. This is why remembering parents and relatives who have passed away is commemorated during the month. Monash University law lecturer Nadir Sia Hossein said he viewed the tradition of visiting graves in Indonesia as a good tradition. He said this could also remind people of death. Others say it contributes to better upkeep of graves of loved ones. By the end of this month, the National Taiwan Library is expected to finish the restoration of a 500-year-old handwritten copy of the Quran. The New Straits Times reports that only the book's cover and binding are left to be repaired. Xiu Mei Wen is a book restorer at the National Library's Book Hospital. She specializes in the restoration of ancient texts and calligraphy and is in charge of the project. She says the Quran she is restoring contains 75 chapters, was handwritten by 4 different people using different inks. It was completed sometime around the 15th or 16th century. Throughout the restoration period, Xiu carefully extracted dust, seeds, and human hair from the scripture. Mei Wen says she plans to preserve and display those things alongside the restored Quran. Before we end today's news, I'd like to make a special request. It takes our team a combined 55 hours of work daily to produce this news for you. It is news with a unique perspective, and you will find it only here. Sound Vision is a not-for-profit organization which produces it, and just like at PBS and NPR, it depends on your donations. Please visit muslimnetwork.tv to donate now, or click the link below to donate. Thank you. That's all from our Chicago studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Salam and good night.